and welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about a very important person, not just because he is a very important religious head, but also because of his political positions. He is the Dalai Lama of Tibetan Autonomous Region. So who is Dalai Lama? The current Dalai Lama, his name is Tenzin Gyatso. Tenzin Gyatso, he was selected as Dalai Lama when he was just 2 years old. The position of Dalai Lama is considered to be the religious head of Mahayana Buddhism for Tibetan population. So for Tibetan population, this position is considered to be a religious head. Who is often appointed as Dalai Lama? This person, whoever sits on the position of Dalai Lama, is considered to be the reincarnation of some of the senior Buddhist monks. So he is considered to be the next Bodhisattvas. It is that important position. It is almost the head of the religious community for the entire population of Mahayana Buddhism, and that is why this position is very, very important in terms of its religions agreed. But it is also the political position because this person also holds the authority to Tibetan Autonomous Region, and it will be the future of Tibet which will be decided by this position, although a religious head but also political positions. Since 1980s, the alignment of Dalai Lama, the position of Dalai Lama has no more been towards independence. Pre-1980s, the primary demand of Dalai Lama or Tibetan Autonomous Region for that matter was independence from China. But post-1980s, they have toned down their demands and they have always asked for greater autonomy remaining within China. But unfortunately, China has not granted them greater autonomy. In fact, China has tried to curb down the independence of the Chinese population. So in this context, it is the birthday of Dalai Lama so important that it is his 90th birthday, and he had previously stated that on my 90th birthday, I will be declaring that who will be the next successor, and also I will be talking about the rules and the information on the basis of which the next successor can be found out. So all of this discussion will be done on the 90th birthday. That makes it very, very important. Some of the majority decisions are almost taken before the 90th birthday. That's on 2nd of July itself. Some of the major decisions will be taken by tomorrow. Okay, but in all of this, there has been obviously Chinese intervention. China has always tried to intervene into Tibetan Autonomous Region. China says that this region is not independent, and as we discussed, initially Tibet was asking for independence. As of now, they are just asking for greater autonomy within China, although China has not agreed for granting greater autonomy as well. On his 90th birthday, or the previous week, the current week, Dalai Lama has declared that the successor to the 13th Dalai Lama, 14th Dalai Lama, will be born outside China. So whoever is his successor, which he will be announcing on 6th of July, he is saying that that person has been born out of China. Obviously, China refutes these claims. China says that your Dalai Lama must be approved by us. So this is how China has tried to intervene into Tibetan Autonomous Region. It has also done this through a process called Synicization. We will be discussing Synicization but little later. As of now, we understood this fact that on the 90th birthday, he is trying to remove all such kind of ambiguities, and he had said that I will be taking some major decisions about the institution of Dalai Lama. That's point number 1, who will be my successor. And also point number 2, I will be laying down certain set of guidelines, certain set of rules which will help to find out who the next successor to me will be. Okay, moving on to the Synicization. How has China tried to intervene? Synicization basically means China tries to impose the majoritarian culture on the minority. China has been doing this not only for Tibetan Buddhism, not only for Mahayana Buddhism, but also for Uyghur Muslims. So it is the Uyghur Muslims, or for that matter, any minority group in China who have outspoken about, who have openly spoken about this fact that China has tried to align its culture or impose its culture on our culture, that's minority culture. So China says that the Mahayana Buddhism and the institution of Dalai Lama should always be in favor of China, or the Uyghur Muslims and the institution of how does this Muslim community runs within China must always be aligned to China. This is how China has tried to intervene into Tibetan Autonomous Region, or for that matter, any minority group. But some of the drastic consequences of Synicization is that children are across the borders from the Tibetan region, they are moving up to India, crossing the Tibetan plateau. Tibetan plateau, we know, is considered to be one of the topmost plateau of the world. And despite of this, parents are ready to send their children just because they want to ensure that Synicization of Chinese culture on the minority group should not lead to the children forgetting their own Mahayana Buddhism. So they are ready to risk the lives of their children and ready to send them cross the border and send them to India. Such that Dalai Lama, who has inhabited India for a long period of time, he has been staying in India in Dharamshala district of Himachal Pradesh. These kids come and study Mahayana Buddhism along these centers. Okay, moving on to the next part, that is China has, how else has China tried to intervene into Tibetan Autonomous Region? We understood कि Dalai Lama के institution में who will be the next successor must be approved by China. Or for that matter, how will Mahayana Buddhism run must be approved with China, as well as Chinese culture must be imposed on them. China has also tried to impose the rituals. For example, after Dalai Lama's death, China did not allow the rituals to take place. So basically, any public discussions, any public sympathy towards the position of or the post of Dalai Lama has always been curbed by China. Why is China doing so? Is because, of course, China has a huge significance for Tibet, or for that matter, Tibet is also very significant for China. It is the location, the strategic location of Tibet that is so important. It acts as a buffer state between India and China. So obviously, China wants that this strategic location should be in favor of China. It is not just the strategic location, but also the resources, the rivers, which are all present in this Tibetan region, and also the snow-capped mountain, which if it melts because of the changing climatic conditions, is going to affect China a lot. So it is very important for China to take over the administration of this region. So it does not want any other political administrations to continue in that region. But it is also very significant position for India. Why is it so? Because obviously, point number one, when Dalai Lama fled to India and India gave the hostage, India gave them a position to stay, the institution has continued in India. So that becomes a primary reason why Tibet is so important for India, because the political decisions of Tibet is actually taking place in the grounds of India, on the grounds of India. But secondly, it is also important because Dalai Lama has always been inclined towards India. So obviously, India has also been taking into considerations the demands of Dalai Lama. But there is one thing that we should be very clear, that India so far follows one China policy. So Tibet or Uyghur Muslims ka Xinjiang province or Hong Kong, these are not separate provinces. For India, in diplomatic terms, it is all China. So we have not tried to intervene into foreign countries' relationship or their countries with their country relationship with their own territory. That is also because we do not want any other country to intervene into Indian issue. For example, Kashmir issue, Khalistan issue. India doesn't want a foreign country to intervene in all of these issues. So we are also not intervening into other countries' issues. Last but not the least, it is of course the rivers which are sourced from Tibetan region that makes Tibetan region very important for India. But very interestingly, it is also turning out to be very important for US. In fact, US has recently passed 3 bills. In past 4-5 years, they have passed 3 bills. The most important bill, recent one, is the Resolve Tibet Act. Resolve Tibet Act prioritizes that Tibet's relationship with China must be improved. It is very important for USA to ensure this, because US is considering Tibet as the pivot to its relations with China. So until and unless Tibet gets an unconditional support from US, obviously they will not be able to communicate with China in their own terms. So they want that Tibet must be given unconditional support, and for that matter, in 2020, 21 and very recently in 2024 also, they have passed a Resolve Tibet Act. In fact, very recently, they have also granted funds. After Donald Trump coming to power, they have also granted huge amount of funds that will help Tibet to fight its own political battles. With that, we come to the end of this topic. If you have any doubt, please do let us know in the comment section below. Thank you so much and all the very best.